Hi guys, and welcome to another Brushmaster video. Today we're going to be looking at, this is a bit of a colour theory video and hopefully the start of a few that I would like to make. Sorry about the glossiness on my colour wheel here. But I want to try and do a different sort of colour theory video. I've seen many colour theory videos and I've done them myself, but there's one sort of topic within colour theory that doesn't really get covered. Now most of us know that we can use a pure colour with its complement, you know, a combination of violet and yellow in different places on a model work very well. We can also use a triad system like violet, green and orange. They work very well, and there's even ratios to use this, like a 60-30-10 split of these complementary colours that work very well. But one thing that strikes me what's missing is what can we do inside of a single colour to make that colour more interesting. And this is where the colour theory can really help. So what we're going to do today, we're going to have a look at violet or purple, whatever you want to call it. I prefer the term violet because I see colours from manufacturers that say purple and it's not really purple to me, it's more of a pink. But this is what I call purple, which is this colour here, which is violet. So one question we get asked, so when we want to add shades and highlights within violet, how do we do that? Well, the most common way that people look to is adding black and white. So let's see what happens when we add black and white to violet. So first of all, I'm just going to take a little mix here and I'm going to add a little touch of black to it. And we're going to see what happens. So as you can see, straight away that's really dark. So it's a really dark colour. And if we do the opposite side now, we can get a few more steps and we can get, you know, a nice interesting sort of progression here. So if we're adding white, we sort of get some slightly nicer looking colours. And we can just keep adding little bits of more white. And this is what we probably get as our standard sort of progression on a purplish tone. You know, working right the way up to much brighter highlights. You know, and we can keep going with the white because the original value is very dark. So there's plenty of room for transitions here. So we can keep going and keep going. Right. But the question I'm sort of asking today with this video is, how interesting is that progression? Now, one of the things I definitely find a problem with is with any time we start with a base colour that is a colour, like violet, like red, like green, any colour really, but when we start adding black and white, we're actually removing colour. And we're making that colour less and less interested and less saturated, because white and black will desaturate any colour. It will just effectively removes the colour from the colour you're painting. It will change values, that's for sure. Black will make something darker and white will make something lighter, but it will desaturate and remove the colour from your original colour. So what I was thinking today, and what I see a lot when you look at really good painters, you see the colours they use have very interesting tones and very interesting intermediate tones. And a lot of people ask me, like, how do they get those tones? Where do these mid-tones that look really different come from? And hopefully this is going to explain some of that question for you. So what we've got here now, as we look at our colour wheel, I've basically got 4 colours here that I think work very well together. You've got the violet and the yellow, but you've also got violet, green and orange. So first question is, if we add violet and yellow, what colour do you think we come up with? And write down in the comments below and let me know what you think. But we're going to mix that up now and we'll have a look. Right, so you're going to get full points if you said brown. So if we add yellow to that colour, we get a brown. A really nice rich brown. And this is the thing, it's not this desaturated brown sort of that you'd get out of a bottle, maybe something like chocolate here. You know, it's a lovely brown, but it's full of white pigment, full of white, grey, it's very desaturated. So we know now this colour has none of that in it. So if we keep progressing on that path with adding yellow to that, let's see what happens. So we're now getting more of a mid-tone brown, a warmish brown, but it's a yellowy, colourful brown. And if we keep going with yellow, we get a really nice high value. A little bit higher still we can go. So we're getting a lot of yellow in here now. But one of the tricks we can do with this colour, as I've shown you here, instead of using violet as a violet, we can create a really interesting array of browns from that colour just by adding yellow to this colour. So that's trick number one, you know, mixing browns and more neutral colours that we want to make a little bit more interesting. That's a very nice way of doing it, just by using a primary colour and a secondary colour here. We're making quite saturated, rich colours. There's not much desaturation in those, and they look nice and much more colourful, much more alive. So if we now move on to the orange, let's see what happens there. I'm just going to put a bit more of this violet on my palette for us to work from. So now we're using one of the colours of the triad. So if we take that, and I've just got a medium orange here, just a very neutral medium orange. And now we start getting this sort of tone. So this is much richer. This is, it's still almost, it's a brown, but it's a much richer brown. This, we're going to be going for like an orangey type of brown here. That's what we're eventually going to get to. But using this sort of thing as intermediate tones, look at that brown there, is really beautiful. That's a lovely colour. If we add even more orange, we'll go quite strong this time. We're getting a really nice orangey brown. That's a beautiful brown. That would work great for NMM as a base colour for NMM, and it's full of colour. It's full of life. So that again, we're getting a beautiful array of browns there that are really useful using with purple or on their own. So let's have a look at green. So now we take a fresh bit of that violet and we get some green. And now we're getting now more a tone similar to deep sea blue or incubi darkness for you GW fans out there. And if we keep going adding greens, we're just making a progression of some really nice greens. Much more interesting than, you know, colours with just blacks and whites in. Now the final step on this one, This is going to be our last step, but this is more like a really rich emerald green. Put a bit more. Let's get our last highlight in there. A lot. But again, from the purple, the violet, we're getting a much nicer progression of colours, which are much more pleasing to the eye. So how can we use this if we just use violet? Well, one of the things I like to do, I never highlight any of my colours with white, not unless it's steel NMM and I'm just adding little white dots. I will always add colour to my highlighting. So I've got a colour here from AK, which is pale yellow. And as you can see, it's very, very light, it's very high value, but it's very much a yellow and a white together. So I am effectively adding white, but every time I add this colour, I am literally adding some yellow as well. So we've already seen that adding yellow is going to make it brown. So what can we do to make this purple more interesting? Well, I really quite liked the orange and the green for if I was painting this as a skin or something on a model. I would be really, really nice to try this with this purple colour, a bit of my orange perhaps, and then maybe a little touch of my pale yellow. So now when I'm looking to highlight our violet, now this is getting to more of a tone that would work with that violet. And we can keep progressing with this. So each time we can add a little bit of orange if we want. And we can add a little bit of the pale yellow. And we're just altering this as we go. And again, this is more on the brown side, but we're getting more interesting tones here now. And now when we start getting up to the real highlights, we're getting a much higher value now, but still an interesting colour. It's still looking nice. And we can mix and match as we go. You know, we're not stuck to one colour. So if I add just some yellow in this time, still into this mix that we're using, we're now getting another interesting colour that can be used with our purple. So these colours here, from here if I'd have added the pale yellow, we'd have got a much higher value and maybe a bit more of a natural progression, but this is a very nice progression for that violet. Okay, so we're really building some nice tones there. And if we do the same now using the green, so we can add a little bit of the green. We'll try and get a more purpley tone to this one this time. So this time we've added a little bit of the green and a little bit of our pale yellow. So we do the same again. Add a little more green to that. And a little bit more pale yellow. And this is what I find more interesting here when we start getting these sorts of tones. They're now looking much more interesting. So this progression I would really like, because we're getting into colours now that are, this is like a French blue or a French grey we're moving towards now. Now we go for a really high value, which again, that colour there is absolutely beautiful. So this progression here would be very pleasing to me, and if you were painting some sort of skin or large object with this would be a very interesting progression. It would be, the tones would look really rich and really nice. You know, we would get some really nice things out of that. But there's also other ways we can go. So the other thing to remember about our purple is what it's made up of. So for any of you guys out there who really know your colours, you will know that this violet or purple is made of red and blue. So the two, we get these what we call secondary or tertiary colours here by very much mixing two primary colours. So the blue and the red mixed together will give us violet. Now we can also use that to our advantage. So if we know there's red and blue and we know we can use our pale yellow for adding value, we can do two progressions that use the blue or the red path. So obviously one is going to take us a little bit colder, one is going to take us a little bit warmer. So let's have a look what happens here. If we'll start with our violet again, and we'll start adding, first of all we'll add the red. So now we've got a really rich, more of a purpley colour. So now we've got this tone, which probably looks a bit more like burgundy, but it's a lovely colour. It's a really nice tone. And if we add some pale yellow to that now, we start getting some really nice burgundy plum. This is like plum, I would say. And if we keep going, we get some really nice colours here that could be used for many different things. But these colours are interesting. They're what we might call vibrant. All of these colours have got plenty of colour in them. So we're creating very interesting tones. See, those tones there are just, it's just beautiful. A monster's skin or something like that would just look really nice with that progression. And likewise, if we go down the cold path with our violet, we can start adding a blue. So here I've got just a medium blue. And now we start getting into beautiful rich blue. That blue there is just so vibrant, so rich. It's beautiful. And if we start adding our pale yellow to that, we now start getting into colours which are heading more towards the lilac zone, I would say. I can see the progression on my palette. It's looking like we're heading towards that sort of colour. Just got to get a little bit more pale yellow. So if we just keep going, now we'll see what we end up with. So here we go, the third highlight. That's again a lovely rich colour, a bit like probably Fenrisian Grey from Games Workshop. That's what struck me when I put that one on the palette. And if we keep going, we're just getting more and more. We're getting like bluey greys now, which are, they're looking more desaturated, but they're not really. They're more colourful. And here that looks now more like similar to this sort of a French grey, blue grey type of colour. Okay, so what's our conclusion here? So what am I trying to tell you? That's the question. Alright, so what I'm trying to say with any colour, and you can look at the colour wheel and do exactly the same thing, this little exercise of exploring different colours is valuable. As you can see here from our one colour, and using the colours on the colour wheel that we know complement this colour, we have ended up with this beautiful array of different tones and colours that could all be used within a colour. This is not about painting an area with this colour and then painting another area with this colour, although it would work great. This is more about mixing tones into this colour or from this colour, which you can create to paint elements on your model. Well, that's purple, guys, or violet, wrapped up. Let me know in the comments if you enjoy this and give me your feedback and what you think. And I'll do another one in this series coming soon. We'll look at one of the other colours on the colour wheel. Maybe green or blue or red or yellow, although we sort of covered a bit of yellow today already. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll do another one of these videos soon. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.